This is a good one. This one is fairly minor, but it's got some issues because the tire's been damaged. This one is slightly worse than the previous one. A bit more rash here and here and here. Yeah. Now, before I show you this one, I didn't actually do any of the other three, but this one is completely trashed, and I did this one all by myself. So let's have a look. So there were 2 good wheels when I got the car, and there were 2 that were just okay. And then my wife proceeded to curb both the passenger side wheels. Then I did this damage here myself. Now, these are really kind of interesting wheels because they are actually a machine finish on this edge, which I don't actually like because it does sort of degrade over time. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna basically re-prep this whole area, make it kind of smooth again, and then if I'm happy with the way it's looking and the aluminium is looking good, I'm gonna clear coat it. But if not, I'm actually gonna paint it. So yeah, hopefully you can get something out of me repairing this damage and seeing what the result can be. So first things first, let's get this front wheel off. And just going in here, just grabbing stuff I need, just to pull the caps off the lug nuts and the security bit as well.
By Jove, Higgins, that was a glorious tea.
The main thing we've got to do first is to actually clean the wheel, because it needs to be spotless before we kind of start the process. We can give it an inspection and do all that. So just gonna go ahead and give it a really thorough clean. Using some wheel cleaner here just to get rid of the brake dust and kind of the built up grime on the wheel first and foremost. And then after this, just use a basic detergent without any wax in it, just a pH neutral detergent. And then I can get to foaming up the wheel and just getting it super clean.
Higgins, that was a glorious tea.
So now that we're all really clean, we can have a good look on the bench at any other areas that are issues as well. So I'm just going to take my jumper off and we'll have a look at it on the bench. Right, hopefully this gives you a good look, kind of what's going on, in this area here. It's really fine rash here, but then you've got some bigger dents here, and this area is quite rashed up. Nothing here, nothing major here, nothing major here. There's another few chunks kind of here. And then some issues over in this area. There's some issues. And I'll give you some close-up shots to show you kind of what's going on as I go, but might deflate the tire as well, because the tire lip is a little bit higher than the actual rim itself, which doesn't really protect the rim, because you'll see, you know, this area here where the chunks sort of come out, didn't really protect it there. But I'm going to deflate the tire a little bit and see if I can, it'll give me some more room just to get a flat sander onto this, so I can kind of be flat as I go around and not have to kind of worry too much about the tire. So I'm going to deflate that right now. And unfortunately I don't have a valve piece, so I'm just going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'll show you up close here what I'm kind of doing, and I'm just moving the tire out the way a little bit just to get a bit more space here. So I'm going to start sanding now. I've cleaned everything, polished everything, happy with beginning to sand. So I've got this little pack here that just fits on a drill, and I'm going to start with 320 grit and I'm just going to basically try and hit this as flat as possible and not get the lip of the tire. So here I'll be able to go, you know, all the way along across here, and I'll be able to keep it flat and miss the lip of the tire here just with this clamp on. That's all I need, just to get the tire a little bit out of the way, and then once I get to there I'll move the clamp on and I'll continue the same thing. So let's see if we can hit this and get rid of this, all this rash. So I'm just kind of masking up now, just for this just for the sanding, just so I don't nick anything in this area. If you can hear the kids in the background, they're just playing in the sprinkler because it's quite warm here today, about 30 degrees Celsius in Melbourne. But anyway, I'm just getting this all ready now that I could just sand without worrying about nicking the actual good section of the wheel. So just kind of masking up that. So now I've done all that. Now I can start to really work on this whole part here. And I'm going to kind of go from here to here, I suppose. But yeah, I've got to be really careful that I'm not hitting this area here. And in this section, I'm actually going to use a clamp here just to get this nice and flat, because already there's been a few repairs. So it's kind of a bit rounded. So I want to flatten this area and not make it super flat towards the wheel, but keep it, not make it super rounded, but keep it kind of nice and flat. So yeah, but this is what I'm using, and I'm just going to keep on keeping on here. So. So after doing this with just 320 grit paper, my recommendation would be to start with something much coarser than that. And in subsequent repairs and refurbs, I've gone up to 800 grit paper, and I've even used a file just to get rid of some of the major rash curbing areas, because you're going to bring it down anyway, and you're going to end up at like a 320 grit or a 250 grit, or even finer if you're wanting to paint the surface. So in this case, there's really no reason to just continue. It took me maybe an hour to break all this down and get down to a place where all the curb rash was gone. I think you could probably knock that out in maybe 15-20 minutes if you had 800 grit, and you know, you went from 800 to 600 to 400 to 300, something more like that process. We'll skip ahead here and we won't go through the whole process of knocking this down, but it is a long process and you just got to take your time with it so that you can keep it as flat as possible. So we'll skip ahead to when I was kind of about halfway through the process. I literally just got a tiny bit further along and my drill started to lose steam. Means been through one battery so far on the drill. So I'm going to switch out the battery
and then come back to continue. But as you can see, it's almost gone there now. So we're very, very close now to having that completely curb free, and it's pretty smooth. I could spray paint that and you wouldn't really notice that it's kind of coming down, but I'll kind of blend it in a little more there. But yeah, that's pretty much ready to go now for cleaning up and to get painted. So yeah, very happy with that.
So I think I mentioned at the beginning of the video, at this point I wasn't sure if I was actually going to paint it or just clear coat it. And as you can see here, I've got most of the Rash out, but there's still this other paint that was on the original rim. Now, I don't know if it's factory or not, but it was very thick and it had a clear coat on top as well. Clear coat and a primer. So I needed to basically cut all of that away first. And so I continued to do that. So I got all of that down using 240 grit paper. And I'll explain this a little bit now.
The next day,
just about ready to clear coat it, and I've done the whole cut back of the diamond cut section. I used 240 grit paper and I literally just went in a circular pattern, and it took a while. It took a long time, but got it all down and it looks absolutely mint. And if the wheel was like this, it'd be fine, but I know I need to clear coat it because if you don't clear it, then it's going to go off and it's going to look bad. The aluminium will look bad. So all I did is use the Scotch-Brite pad and I just scotched the whole wheel. Now I've just used mineral terps just to clean the whole wheel, cleaned it thoroughly, and I'm going to clear coat it now. I'll probably just do one coat really lightly and then one final coat, a bit more of a wet coat, because I don't want it to look super glossy. I've got a satin product that I'm going to use. It's had good reviews and it's hard wearing. It's not a 2K because I really couldn't get the availability of the 2K stuff with the little button that you pop in the can. That's your best bet. I'll link those below. That's the one you should use. I'm not using that. I'm using another product that's got good reviews for automotive stuff, but it isn't a 2K. And because I'm not going on top of a paint already, it will go down okay. So the other 2K one is better when you're going on top of a fresh coat of paint. So I would always recommend the 2K one. I'm not going to be using that, as I said, but basically now I'm going to spray this and yeah, let's see what the finish comes out like. I'm really excited. The 240 grit paper gives you that machine finish. If you go in the right way, you're just always going to go in the right direction and it looks really, really good. So let's get into spraying and we'll see how it comes up. All right, don't knock the technique here. I'm trying to get a very, very light first coat. So I'm really just dusting it, making sure I'm getting full coverage on every part of the rim. Remember, I've Scotch-Brite across the whole of the rim. So, and I didn't actually Scotch-Brite the lip because that was 250 or 240 grit already. So that's all good. But yeah, this is a really light dusting first coat. So that's why it's not a great technique. First coat. Going on really nice. It's now a second coat. Bit of a thicker coat. That's probably all I'll do. But I still want it to have that satin finish. Got some slight imperfections and dust and stuff, but it looks very good. So as you can see by the before, it really was trash. And I'm so surprised at how well this came up. Like, this honestly looks like a professional job, and really it's restored them back to their factory finish. So super happy with the results, and yeah, they look awesome. Be sure to like and subscribe if you got value from this video. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.